Welcome to this video to learn essential and minimal Mandarin Chinese for getting around in Taiwan. You're going to find lots of videos on the internet, and what I'm trying to do here is keep it simple and relevant to life in Taiwan, at least in my experience as an American expat. I want to share a couple conceptual language tips that might be really helpful at the get-go. And one is that in a lot of interactions you'll have with shopkeepers or at restaurants, you'll find that you might want to say yes or no, because in English we will give that response for a wide variety of questions. And in Chinese, this is really not there. You have to kind of reprogram your brain to rethink how you might respond to a question where in English you might say yes or no. The main thing to keep in mind here is to think about what is the verb being used in the question. So, 是 and 不是 are I am and I'm not, and that is often translated to be yes and no, but they really don't work as yes and no in a lot of situations. So you might need to also know I have or don't have, I need or don't need, that's correct or incorrect, I can or cannot, and that's good or not good. So I'm going to take you through these 6 different ways to do yes or no, reprogramming your brain for thinking differently when you're asked questions. I think it's important to expose your ear to the way that Mandarin Chinese sounds, particularly in Taiwan, which has a slightly different pronunciation and set of word choices. For me, when it comes to learning a new language in a new place where I'm living, I prefer to learn a small number of important words, high-value words, with the correct pronunciation and tone, rather than learning lots and lots of vocabulary that I perhaps don't pronounce well. One way to do this is if you get a car and you're driving around listening to the news in Mandarin, make sure you're not listening to it in Taiwanese, which is a different dialect. And you can also find shows on Netflix. There are some podcasts and YouTube shows that just expose your ear without even knowing what the people are saying. Just expose your ear to the sound for a really long time. Don't even worry about trying to say much. Just get your ear used to the sound of the language. Tones are a big deal, as you probably know already. And don't be too upset that there are 4 tones in Mandarin, because some dialects, like Cantonese, have many more. So if you can master those 4 tones, that will help you tremendously. And you can also learn a lot through pinyin, which is the Roman alphabet version of words that help you to know how to pronounce it in English. These are links that I'll put in the section below that take you through how to pronounce all the Roman letters that are used in the pinyin system. And you'll find that some are very logical and follow English pronunciation of those letters, but some are less obvious, like what do you do with a Q or an X? What sounds do those make in the pinyin system? Tone pairs is a really good way to learn how to use tones. And I recommend that one to you too. So these are some good building blocks as you're learning. A few words about Mandarin spoken in Taiwan. Mandarin in Taiwan is softer than how you might hear it in places in mainland China, particularly Beijing. And you'll notice that the Taiwanese are kind of a softer culture, and will even add sounds at the end like o to soften their phrase further. So, you know, 谢谢, and you might hear 谢谢哦. The Taiwanese, in my experience, are very polite and show a lot of goodwill when you show politeness and humility too. So as you're trying to practice the language, you usually find people are happy that you're trying, even if you're not doing so hot. Now, I don't know what happens when Taiwanese people get behind a steering wheel in a car. They don't seem to have a lot of patience and certainly do not do the deferential waving people in like you might in the U.S. South. But if you meet a Taiwanese person who's not driving at the moment, you'll find a lot of patience and people who will go out of their way to be helpful to you. At least that's my experience and one of the many reasons why I love Taiwan and Taiwanese people. There are some phrases that are used here that aren't used so much in China. So if you're looking for resources online, I recommend you look for things made by Taiwanese people. You may know this already, but the characters that are used in Taiwan and Hong Kong are the traditional characters. After the Communist Revolution, linguists created a more simplified version of characters to increase the literacy rate in mainland China. So there's some overlap, but sometimes you'll notice characters look a little different. Another reason why you should use Taiwanese Mandarin-made resources. Maybe the most important thing to say in any language is thank you, 谢谢. It's a good way to be gracious. So this is fourth tone, 谢谢. 你好 is hello. 你好吗? Ma is a question word. In English, you might use intonation to ask a question. You good? 你好吗? And to reply, you can say 好, 你呢, which means good, and you, or fine, and you. 好, 不好, 很好. These are really helpful for good, not good, and very good. If you can't remember a lot of words, I find okay in just about any country is really useful. And they use okay here too. 好不好 is this okay? Or okay ma, is it good for you? And you can reply 好 or 不好 or okay. 对 对不对 is correct. And you hear a lot in Taiwan, 对, when people are responding in the affirmative to questions. Would you like this one? 对. Have I got that right? 对. And then often with the softener, 哦, 对哦. And sometimes 对啊. I like this one a lot. This is the best way to say no thank you. It literally means no use, which means I don't really have use for that, which may sound a little harsh in English, but in Taiwan it's actually a very soft way to say no to someone. So, 不用谢谢. I say this one all the time. 不用谢谢. If you are at a shop and they offer you something, you can say this very easily. It's a very polite way to say no. 不好意思 is said a lot, and you'll hear it a lot in Taiwan. It's a soft way of apologizing, but without like a deep apology. You might use it if you have made a little spill in 7-Eleven, or perhaps you bump into someone and you just want to say, sorry, excuse me. It's kind of like, I know I did that, but my intention was not bad. My meaning is not bad. So, 不好意思 is no bad meaning. Or just simply kind of, I'm sorry, but in a light way, not as heavy as 对不起, which is more of an apology. 我不知道 is I don't know. That one's helpful if you don't know something. And 听不懂 is I don't understand, and it literally means I'm hearing you, I can hear you, but I don't get it. So I don't comprehend even though I can hear you. And really that's just how they say I don't understand. 听不懂. I hear you, but I don't get it. I don't get it. 你有没有这个? Do you have this? 这个 is pointing to something you maybe want a product. And 那个 is that one. 这个 is this one. honestly, I don't feel like you have to learn both because you can, just point. So that one's useful in a shop. 你有这个吗 is another way to put it. 等一下 is often used when somebody's saying, just hang on a second, want to help you out, but I'm not ready yet. Or wait a moment for me. So that one's really helpful. And sometimes you'll hear 等一下哦, which is just the Taiwan soft O. 多少钱 is how much is that? That's really useful. 我要2个. I'd like 2, please. Learn the numbers. Numbers are power words in any language, in my experience. So I would practice saying the words. When you're driving around, you can look at license plates and drill yourself with numbers. And then some big numbers like 100 and 1,000. 100, 1000. These are helpful words to know too, because the bills in Taiwan come in these denominations. 没有钱. I don't have money. So that might be helpful if you're trying to say no to someone trying to sell you something. 太贵了. It's too expensive. May be helpful if you're trying to bargain. Where is something? That's a useful one. 火车站在哪里? 在哪里 is, where is something? So you just put the place you're trying to find followed by 在哪里. These are really useful shops across Taiwan. 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and PX Mart. Most people in Taiwan would have no idea what PX Mart is if you use the English, but they all know 全年. So 小七 means little 7. That's 7-Eleven. 全家 is Family Mart, and 全年 PX Mart, which is the most common grocery store here. I think it's great to learn your favorite drink as a good place to start with your journey with 7-Eleven and Family Mart. So this is what I almost always order, which is a medium cup of hot coffee or a cafe latte. 中杯热的拿铁. So 中杯 is medium cup. You might want 大杯, which is a big cup, or maybe you want 小杯, which is small. 热的 is hot. 冰的 is cold. 拿铁 is latte. You might want something else. Maybe you want a 美式咖啡, which is an Americano. Almost every place is going to ask you after you check out, while you're checking out, do you have a membership? And I think Taiwanese are bargain hunters. They like to have membership programs at every shop they go to. I personally find it 麻烦 or troublesome. So I don't really have a membership anywhere. I like to keep things simple. And they might ask you, 你有会员吗? And you will hear this question all the time. And I always say, 没有. I don't have. Now, they might say, 会员在住吗? And they're asking, do you have the membership program on your phone? So maybe they will scan your phone for the receipt system. This is a very common question at shops, and that is, would you like a bag? 你要袋子吗? Do you want a bag? 袋子 is a bag, and you can either say 有, which means I've brought my own, I have one, or you might just say 不用谢谢, I don't need it, thanks. When you're dining or ordering food, you want to let them know, are you eating there or you want it to be takeout? So 内用 is dine in, and 外带 is takeout. 好吃 is a great compliment, means good eat or delicious. 我的中文不好 is a fun thing to say if you'd really like to make it clear that you're not prepared to have a conversation and you're also trying to show some humility. This one earns me a lot of smiles, and I usually say it kind of with a smile. And often when I say 我的中文不好, they might say 我的英文不好. And then together we just struggle through our language. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to make one second one.